So far.
Yes, thank you. All right, guys. I did my presentation on othering, and I briefly touched upon religious pluralism. All right, so our world, right? We live in a very multicultural, with multiple religions, multiple belief systems, multiple ethnicities, which speaks to religious pluralism, right? Basically, as we all know, pluralism is basically the multiple religions coexisting with one another, coexisting in reality, coexisting within society. And with religious pluralism comes othering. Now, basically what othering is, on simple terms, is viewing the self as superior to the other. Whether it's a single person or a group of people, you're treating them as less than or inferior to yourself. Separation, segregation, the us versus them mentality. And it doesn't have to be religion. It could be cults, it could be a single person. It's just the whole notion of treating someone less than. Dehumanization, basically going through animalization, treating a person as close to their nature, or kind of giving them animalistic qualities. Yeah. Okay, so here are examples of othering. Briefly, like the genocide, the Holocaust, South African apartheid, the African Americans being segregated. So the question arises, why do people engage in othering, right? Well, number one, there's so many reasons, but I'm just going to kind of go through in my opinion, the top 4 reasons. Basically, they feel some sort of hatred to one another for whatever reason, right? For self-preservation, many religions feel that they need to preserve their religion, right? And that involves treating other people as less than, whether it's like the Jews and the Muslims or any other religion. They have this sense of needing to treat the other religion as less than because they need to preserve their religion. And then the psychological tactic. Back in the day, in the tribal days when we had clans, and basically the means of survival is making sure that we had someone, in one way or another watching our back, right? And if we didn't have that, we were deemed as dead. But today, in reality, is we don't need that, right? If we're not really associated with a close-knit group, we're not going to die. I mean, all is well, right? So here's the actual real-life event that happened a couple of years ago, where othering and centering was involved. Basically, a Jewish family driven out of a predominantly Christian town. Now, it's important to note that the predominantly Christian town, did not directly engage in othering, but it was something called centering, which I'm briefly going to talk about. So the Dawbridges is a Jewish family that in Delaware. They felt unwanted and harassed by their school district, and they decided to move to a different town. So a form of othering taking place, like I said before, it's not directly othering, it's a form of othering called centering. And basically what centering is the subtle implication that they are unwanted or not accounted for. So I think it's really important to understand and note that the Christian town, the Christian school district actually did not, they weren't implying that Jews and the Jewish religion are inferior and less than, but what they were doing, they were really creating the assumption that Christianity is the religion by default, right? So the Dawbridges, they felt that the Indian River School District Board has created, and I quote, an environment of religious exclusion and unconstitutional state-sponsored religion. So here's an example. Samantha's graduation, she's the daughter of the family. Basically, with every graduation, the administration or the student council wants to, kind of give you good wishes and blessing for you in your future. And basically, she's a Jew, and her school's like 99% Christian, and her pastor, I think it was the principal, actually, just gave her good words. And he said, I also pray for one specific student, which was Samantha, which was implied that it was her, that you be with her and guide her in the path that you have for her. And we ask for all of these things in Jesus' name. Right, and the craziest part is how extreme this is the fact that the family viewed the graduation as a ruin, just because that pastor basically gave her good words, gave her a blessing or two in a Christian way, not in a Jewish way, right? And it's important to note and understand that the school district, their intention was not at all to put the Jewish religion down or create some treat them as less than. Basically, the Jewish family were over here, and the Christian school district never brought them down, but what they did is they brought themselves up by creating this assumption that Christianity is the religion by default. And different examples of centering othering. Samantha Doveridge's honors that the English teacher frequently discussed Christianity, but no other religion. Again, never saying anything negative about Judaism, but their interpretation was that Judaism was treated as less than. A middle school teacher told students there was only one true religion and gave them pamphlets for his surfing ministry. Lastly, while Bible clubs were widely available, student book clubs were rare and often canceled by the district. So they flee out of Delaware, actually. So this is the issue. From now on, the Doveridges are instantly defensive about any religion that is not theirs, and instantaneously it creates this sort of like us versus them mentality, all because of this event, right? So they leave Delaware, and each time they come across a different religion, I think, even at a subconscious level, they have this sort of, engaging in othering, right? And this is, all the genocides and wars and all these negative things happening in the world, I think are really stemming from types of things like this. Yeah, it's ingrained in their mind so strongly that even at a subconscious level, they'll be engaging in othering. So I think the question we need to ask ourselves is, can we go about self-preservation and religious preservation without engaging in othering? And if so, how do we do it, right? Like, in order for the Doveridges to preserve their Jewish religion, is it necessary for them to engage in othering? Like, is there a way where we can actually preserve ourselves in our religion without creating the segregation and othering? Because I mean, it seems like for these people, for this family in particular, for them, like.
So this is a real event.
This is a real event. This happened, I think, like 2007, 2006. So yeah, this is a real event, and they felt so unwanted. They felt so unacknowledged that they needed to leave and go to a new town. And see, I feel like the Doveridges right now, they leave Delaware and they probably try to find a community that is, more Jewishly inclined, right? And that right there is creating segregation, separation, and othering. So it's like, is it even possible to really preserve your own religion without engaging in othering? What do you guys think? Is it?
Well, that's a valid question. That's the question we've been talking about.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did you say she went to a Christian school?
Yes, it was predominantly Christian. It was like 90. She was her.
Or was it like a Christian school, like a Catholic school, or something like that? Or what
That is a very good question. Didn't mention.
If
It's
it's
a good
just
question.
Delaware, probably not.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't make sense for her to be Jewish or Catholic.
Because if it's not, well, a lot of people go to school for outside their religion, but like,
Correct.
the thing is, if
I
it
think it's just a
was
public school.
a Christian school and they still said these things,
Yeah.
then that is kind of, you
Yeah.
can't enforce your opinion on students saying
Right.
Christianity is the right way, or any other religion, you know, if it's not a religious school.
Yeah, I think it was just a public school.
I think they kind of have a point in a way. That
Yeah.
these things are being said to them at a public school.
But see, that's the thing. The subtlety is that they were never saying that Judaism is wrong or bad or treating them less than. It was their perception that they were being treated as less than. So it's like, I don't know.
I mean, they're constantly glorifying Christianity,
Yeah.
and it's not a Christian school.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
kind of
that's
see
true.
where they're coming from.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Just briefly.
There's like a huge presumption that, segregation and putting yourself above others is basically for religious self-preservation. But maybe I have a pessimistic view on humanity, but I think it transcends religion. People always tend to one up themselves. You need Beats headphones. You need Michael Kors watch or whatever to be or if someone has someone from an exact same watch from let's say Adi, that's what the hell. If someone has a flip phone these days, you would make fun of them for it. You know what I mean?
So, but let's bring back the conversation to the issues of religion. I mean, that's
Right.
which is. I think what you say is in fact just a statement. This is not a religious problem, but it is ingrained also in the questions of religious pluralism on what the author says on the normative level, on the theological level.
I feel like even if both religion, there's more factions in the same religion, and those factions think that one's superior over the other.
And that's the craziest thing.
Sunnis and
Yeah, like in Judaism or in any other religion, there's always, within their own religion, it boggles my mind how people are treating people in their own religion as less than. Like Orthodox Jews and Reformed Jews, like it's this constant, you're not doing it right, blah, blah, blah. So it's like this constant, makes no sense.
Higher, yes,
Yeah.
higher.
Does it not make even less sense to just postulate that people should all be treated the same without attempting even to explain why or how it's even possible to do that? Like, I mean, when you start to concern yourself more with how people feel about how they're treated than about if there is truth or if truth is right, then what are we even bothering talking about? We want to pat each other on the back and just feel good about each other and not really talk about anything substantive, then maybe we can do away with others, but other is a direct consequence of even forming a thought. Like you have to postulate an other for there to be something like a transaction between your mind and something outside of it. So I don't know, this doesn't seem like a real.
Yeah, but like, the minute you put other there, you're like, I found like it's not like natural to be like, oh, other, but we're still in the same wavelength. It's usually other, and there's a power dynamic.
But we're reading that into the, he's saying that people were treated as other, we're reading into that automatically that means it's a part of friendship. Even this notion of a part of friendship is read into the transaction between two different groups of people, right? I would argue that it's natural for people with different opinions to contest each other because that's how you figure out who's right.
Yeah,
We
that's
can't say, you know.
That's healthy, but I feel like that's healthy. That's like
And if somebody can
smart.
justify their deprecation to you with objective terminology, then is it not your job to say why they're wrong in doing that and not to say it hurts my feelings, so stop, you know?
No, yeah, that's
No, yeah.
That's like
Yeah, but
perfect
it's,
world.
so if we bring it into the discussion of the religious system, so in other words, what we recognize now is that this is not
We don't
the
have free
religious
discourse
issue.
like
Yeah.
people think we have. Everybody pats each other on the back and walks away from the issue.
Yeah, so we can, now there are of course the debates about relativism versus.
But that's the exact issue at the
Yeah,
core of
it
it,
is,
not-
it's very much there.
If you're
And the
objective-
question of religious studies, of course, then becomes even a double challenge because do we in fact then engage in relativism by recognizing that there are multiple claims to truth?
But
that-
how do you say that you don't though?
Yeah,
Can you even
how do-
explicate in a sentence that you don't do that, right? It's counterfactual. to
Which
the
is
word.
then, which I think what Barnes is trying to emphasize, which is why that needs to be tied to the theology rather than just sociology.
At least address, right? At least
Yeah, address,
we-
exactly.
We just take it as a standard that you've treated somebody as something else, therefore, you know, like, you just presume homogeny. Where does this presumption
Where does
come?
it
And what
come
does it refer to, more importantly? What homogeny underpins the difference? Is there any reference to it whatsoever?
Yes. Daniel, you had.
I don't know if this really relates or anything like this, but I immediately thought of like the United States, in God we trust, right? It kind of this, it kind of relates to kind of the story as well. Like we're not putting anybody down, but we're kind of favoring this God, whether it's Christianity, Judaism, whatnot, which is this God character. I don't know if that's
So much about secularism of the United States. Yes, just.
Yeah, it's just a lot of arrogance, but considering that religion, from everything from like like atheism to Christianity and everything is equally unjustifiable. And to say that you're right, yours is the one that's right, is just it's arrogance.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so one day maybe we can all kind of have our coexist, right? Have all these different religions in society, religious pluralism, but kind of exist in a world where it's not hateful, violent, right? Like it is today right now.
Okay, so what would be, so you see, this is now a normative question.
Right.
How to create the conditions,
Right.
how to promote, how to be activist in a way in which you promote a particular form, a framework
Right.
in which pluralism is recognized but not hierarchized. You know, so how you can have plural without being
Right.
differential
Yeah.
in that sense. So differentiated but not.
But you'd obviously
In the-
need a
not
criterion
in-
external to the
Exactly. So
object,
then,
right?
yeah. So it's a serious, not serious, but it's a very complex, of
Right,
course,
right,
proposition because, while on the one hand you can say we do coexist here,
Yeah.
it nevertheless presupposes that there is some framework which is an
Yeah.
external agency that allows us